Coming soon on social medias, it's S-Class.
Of zero local, my friend.
So what's the level? Like a bottle of chibuku?
Like a bucket.
To my nature, I criticize on social media. Yeah, I think I'm good at that when it comes to social media. That's why I really like spending most of my time in social media.
Buli lwenywa ku njaga eyo naye mba sirina ssente ntulaali n'endowooza.
Coming soon on social media. Good afternoon, our lovely viewers. Welcome to S-Class. Good afternoon, our lovely viewers. Welcome to S-Class. Remember, S-Class social media show which brings different information or information that adolescents may need in their day-to-day life, in that their life can be easily changed. And today on S-Class, we are going to discuss more of drugs and substance abuse. We have brought Albert Erwal, one of the directors of Recovery Uganda. He's going to tell us more of what he is doing here. Then later on, he's going to tell us a little bit of his story. For those who have ever heard about his story is a bit interesting and very educating. So if you're a young person out there, you just need to sit and watch this show today. So welcome to the show, Albert.
Thank you, Sam, and good afternoon, viewers.
So, but tell us about, I heard about your story, but first of all, tell us about this organization. Why did you have to come up with this organization?
Okay, first of all, as you know, I'm in recovery myself. That means I have a lived experience when it comes to substance abuse. I was trapped in alcoholism and nicotine addiction. That's cigarette smoking for about 13 years. And having recovered, I felt that there was a huge information gap among the young people. And that is why so many people were using. So that is why together with a few people we decided to come up with an organization that could bridge that gap as well as provide solutions. So today we are not only into prevention, but we are also treating people that have fallen victim to various addictions. Yeah.
If I may ask, how long did you take? How long had you taken using all these drugs?
I was using for 13 years. I started at the age of 15 and I quit at the age of 28.
And then by the time when you're using it, do you face any challenges in life?
Definitely. If I could briefly take you through my story, I started drinking at 15. By then I was at St. Mary's College, Chisubi. I started in second term, but by third term, academics had taken the back seat and my new lifestyle was family, in control of the steering wheel. So by senior 3 first term, I had been expelled from St. Mary's College Chisubi because of that lifestyle. But at that age I didn't know what I was dealing with. I did not exactly understand addiction. I thought I was dealing with something that I could be able to quit at any time, you know. But little did I know I was dealing with a disease of the brain. So after being expelled from Chisubi in my senior 3, I joined Kabaka's Lake, St. Lawrence, and I was also expelled after a term. Same reasons. So my dad being a very tough man, I stayed home for the rest of the year. So the next year I was taken to another school in somewhere in Seta. That was a very useless school because that school almost had no rules. You could drink, you could smoke as long as you did not disorganize others. It was a terrible situation. Even me who liked partying, I reached a point where I just said, this place is not for me.
If I may take you back, what attracted you to use all these kind of drugs?
The thing is, for me, I shouldn't. I was lured by the older boys in my home environment. I grew up in Colonia, in the flats. So, like, there are these older boys who had since lost the trust of their parents. So they used to hang around a certain canteen. So when we are going in the evening, maybe your parents have sent you for groceries. Those are the ones who are always praising you. You boy, you are cool. You know how to bounce those things. At that age, you're impressionable. So you feel accepted. Now, if you come from a family like mine where there was serious chiboko, you feel like your parents don't understand you. It's these older boys who understand you. And of course, as you keep listening to them, you keep getting attracted to what they are doing. They give you some little alcohol, cigarettes, and that is how you start. That's how I started.
And when do you decide to quit all these drugs?
It took me 15 years, 15 years of what I call torture. Moving from school to school, police cell to police cell, losing my friends, to various things, Others were shot, others were beaten to death, others died in accidents, HIV. So after 15 years, alcohol had really punched me. I could not recognize myself. And by then, I was actually homeless. I was home, I was out of a job. I would drink and sometimes even sleep on bar benches, till I found a friend who had been to rehabilitation, and he looked different, and he's the one who told me about rehab.
Bars that you used to chill in within Kampala and other places.
Some of them have long ceased to exist, but were everywhere. Gabi Road, DV8, those days Club Silk, Genoa, Corner Pocket, we had Stakeout around Uganda Road there, Bamboo Nest, and various bufundas around Bugolobi.
You talked about losing some of your friends. You lost them when they are drinking, or you lost them in any kind of...
One, my best friend died of alcoholic poisoning at the age of 20. For him, he had malaria, so he was on medication, and those days we used to take what, Fansida. So when he felt better, he joined us in the bar after like 3 days. So actually that day he didn't drink in front of us. We left, but when we left, apparently he took Tyson Waraj. That was a very potent drink they used to sell them in sachets called Tyson Waraj. So he took some Tyson Waraj. That thing killed him in about 5 hours. In 2 a.m. he was taken in severe pain. By 4 a.m. he was dead. Post-mortem, ruptured pancreas. Then my second very good friend died a few months down the road. He got into a fight in Samba in Rugogo with these guys who roast chicken. So he was stabbed in the neck, and as he was running to cross, he was hit by a vehicle. Then a taxi ran over his head. So that one went. Then down the road, we used to have a habit of, when we would, after dancing, in the morning we would get into special hires, what you people nowadays call Ubers. Then when we reach home, we would all take off. Now we did this either for fun or because we had drunk our transport money. But now all those special hire drivers were planning for us. So they caught a friend of mine in Tinder and hit his head with a spanner. That one went. Then another friend was shot around Mini Price Butter at 2 a.m. We have never understood the circumstances under which he was shot. Then so many friends succumb to accidents. Then one of our very good female friends, HIV. Death just seemed to be around us, you know.
You talked of HIV. Where does HIV come from when you talk about the things of drugs and substance abuse?
Lifestyle. You know, these drugs compromise your reasoning, alters your reasoning, your perception. They will tell you that lady is HIV positive. And you're like, I know. But when you drink your alcohol, the alcohol alters your reasoning. How does such a good-looking lady be positive? Then probably you have a word with her. All you need, because you're in that altered state, is a little convincing from her that she's fine. And you'll go in there, catch the disease and regret later, because your guard is low. Or you'll even still go and say, okay, I'm going to use a condom, and because you're drunk, you cannot properly maintain discipline while using it. Maybe your condom ruptures, and in that state you care less.
So if I may ask, can we leave the history part of it, where if you look at today's Uganda, we have very many people who misuse drugs, and some of them take it as leisure. You, as a person who has ever gone through this, what do you think that is driving young people today to join drugs and substance things?
The liberal nature of today's society. Today's society is so liberal, and nowadays also information is at the fingertips of these young people. There's a lot of exposure on the internet. These people have all this. There's a lot of content on our media glorifying drug using lifestyle. You know, then we have very weak laws when it comes to handling drug dealers. So there are drugs everywhere. And then even our control measures are very weak. A young person can, even a 14-year-old can enter a bar and buy alcohol or cigarettes or whatever. And no one cares. So when it comes to managing drug use among our youth today, there is a lot that is lacking. There are weak laws. Even the few that are a bit stringent are not implemented. The youth have a lot of information. Parents have become very relaxed. Parents are working. They leave these kids to practically raise themselves. You know. So there are a lot of factors. There's access as well.
And if you look at today, a majority of young people are taking Mairunji, which is now the common drug that young people are taking. Because if you pass by the streets of Kampala, if you go in ghetto places of Kampala or Uganda, you find a majority of young people are taking Mairunji. And these people are not even above the age of 20, they are around 17, 16, 15. So if you ask them, they always say they are accessible, they are cheap, and nobody seems to care. You talked about parenting is no longer taking place nowadays. Parenting is zero when it comes to Uganda nowadays. What would be your view about Mailunji today?
Mairunji is very rampant. First of all, it is one of the legal drugs we have. When I talk about legal drugs, I'm talking about substances that affect our brains or our health, but are still legal. We have tobacco, we have alcohol, we have Mairunji. So these people take, because they take these things first of all because the law on Mairunji is not very clear. And it is one of those drugs whose effects are long term. They are not observed immediately like you would see alcohol, someone is falling, or weed. Mairunji, it's long term, so the young people are mistaken. They think it is harmless. Yet it affects us in so many ways. For example, apart from injuring your teeth and all the bad breath, it eventually affects your sexual performance. It greatly affects your libido, especially in women. long term. Those are some of the things that happen.
And you as a person now who has worked with, at least you have faced a number of adolescents. What are some of the drugs that adolescents take in Uganda nowadays?
I'm telling you, nowadays, these young people take everything. First of all, in every ghetto in Kampala and in these big towns, you can find heroin. There is adulterated heroin. By that, it's killing a lot of people due to overdoses. A stick goes for as low as 2,500. It's normally laced with marijuana. Then there is a lot of weed, marijuana. Alcohol is still the number one consumed drug countrywide. Now there is a growing population of young people that are using cough syrup. The cough syrup is what we call codeine. Codeine is a psychoactive substance that comes from the same raw material as heroin, the poppy plant opium. So you find there is even a black market for cough syrup in most of these secondary schools, especially the international schools. And this black market is mainly run by female students, by the way. And because they are dependent on these cough syrups and diazepam. So if we are looking, we are looking at cough syrup, we are looking at heroin, we are looking at marijuana, alcohol. Those are the most abused drugs today.
Among all drugs that you didn't talk about Koopa. To me, I see it's very common.
Yeah, Koopa is common. There is now another one. It doesn't go by the name Koopa. There is another one that came after that. What? Mijaj. This Mijaj also very common, more potent than Koopa. That is also very common among young people today.
When you start taking drugs, I personally have never taken drugs, so I haven't gone through that experience. Like, how do you feel, and how does your life go?
Different drugs affect you differently. Drugs. There are drugs that just give you confidence in the beginning. You feel confident, you feel you're the man. There are those ones that just make you calm. You don't have any problem in the world. Then there are drugs that make you hyper. Then there are drugs that just put you to sleep. In the initial stages, those first times of using, the drugs kind of work in a way you'll consider positive. For example, you have never talked to a girl, you'll find the confidence. But now then, after some time, everything begins to fall apart. And then you realize that you cannot stop, you're hooked. Even the girls you were smoking for are running away from you. The confidence that you went in quest of, at this point you don't have, because the drugs have finished you. You're now stealing in order to feed your drug abuse. Your relationships are broken. Basically, your life is disintegrating. That is why some people end up committing suicide.
Talk about the society that these people who take drugs live in. If the parents, the people that surround them, do these people really surround themselves with people who love them, that can easily guide them or advise them in any way or the other?
You see, you can live with your parents. In most cases, your parents love you. They might offer guidance. But unlike those days where children were brought up in a communal manner, whereby it would be hard for a child, a 14-year-old, to go and start smoking there because so-and-so's mother or father will see them. Nowadays, people mind their own business. Yes. Now there is no cooperation. Don't say anything negative about my child. Don't do what? And then even, not that I support corporal punishment, but I think it worked for our parents. Now for us, there is hardly any punishment that you can subject your child to that will not be questioned. All they say is love them. love, even tough love will be questioned. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board, and come up with our own measures of guiding our children as a nation. We control the content they are exposed to. We have some strict disciplinary guidelines. We support schools in disciplining our children. There we shall raise a morally upright generation. But with the way things are going, at this rate of liberalism and the availability of these drugs and exposure to all this negative drug, life-glorifying content, I'm afraid we are heading for doom.
How long did it take you to quit drugs?
You know, I struggled with substances from the age of 21. I knew I had a problem, but I still falsely believed that I could quit on my own. At 24, I realized there was an issue. Now I said I would try on my own. Sometimes I would go even 3 months without using, but then I go back. So it took me about 4 years of trying and failing before I went to rehabilitation. So it's from rehabilitation that I was able to quit.
How hard or easy for anyone to quit drugs?
It's never easy. These drugs overwhelm you. They hijack your system. They're in control. You cannot you see, like for you or him, you can do things normally without using drugs. But for somebody who is hooked to drugs, for you to behave like a normal human being, you have to use drugs. You get it? So usually the best thing to do, if you have a loved one, you know somebody who is hooked, just guide them towards treatment. Let them seek treatment, and it is from there. Because treatment, there's procedure. They first detox you, remove the drugs out of your system, try to get like your normal pattern back of sleeping, eating, and what. Then when they restore your normal body pattern, then from there now, you start going through psychotherapy, helping you to be able to live a normal life without being dependent on these drugs.
If someone like wants to leave drugs or avoid him or herself from taking drugs, what are some of the steps that he or she is supposed to take?
First is seek help. Talk to somebody you trust. Somebody you trust, usually an elder, a friend, somebody you have confidence in. Then this person, in most cases, or if you're at school, talk to a counselor. But if you're outside there and you're watching, then you're even lucky. You can come to 4 Tranquil Homes. In Entebbe Lugonjo, we have a very good treatment team that can help treat and restore somebody to functionality. Or you check us out on Facebook, Recovery Uganda, you can always get more details. And we'll be able to answer your questions and guide you towards better health.
If an adolescent out there is watching you now, what will be your, before I tell you to say words, are drugs for only men or even women?
Both.
Like men use them more than women, or women use them more than men?
You see now, the number of women depending on drugs is growing faster than even the men. But now the problem is our society harbors a lot of stigma towards women. Women are suffering quietly in their homes. They cannot come out because the families will not accept, even the women will not accept. The girls will say, who will marry me? If they know I have this problem, wives will be like, how can they know that me, a married woman, is battling an addiction? So very few women go for treatment because they believe they are going to suffer from stigma, they will be judged. And yet addiction is just a disease. Addiction is a disease like cancer, like diabetes, high blood pressure. It's a disease of the brain. scientifically proven. There is no single human being who goes out there with the intention of getting addicted. Because when you're addicted, there is an imbalance that has been set in your brain. You can only live a normal life through treatment, and that is why you need some medication. You see, so these people should not be judged because they are hooked. They do not. Most of them do not know what is happening to them. So some people will think they are stubborn, they are rebellious. Others will say witchcraft. No, they are sick.
But I've seen people who always undress themselves after taking drugs at the first time. Why does this happen always?
You see, these drugs can also lead to psychosis. Psychosis is like what people call running mad. For example, a drug like weed or marijuana, it acts on your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for reasoning, for perception, goal setting. There are a bit of memory cells there. So weed burns these memory cells. That is why you see when some people take weed, they act like the way you're seeing. A man will just start laughing at nothing. You look at that wall and start laughing. Another one will see an electric wire that is here. He bends because he's perceiving the electric wire as here. Their state of reasoning and perception has been altered. So these drugs affect our general outlook, perception towards life. And the more you take, the more damage to your brain. That is why at the end of the day, you're seeing somebody walking completely naked. In the person's world, that is normal. They're eating on top of these rubbish pits because to them it is okay. They have lost their sense of reason. You see, so some people get affected faster than others.
So if I don't undress myself, that means I'm very okay.
No. No, if you are here fully dressed but you're spitting at everyone that passes, does that mean you're okay? If you start laughing from morning to evening, but you're fully dressed in your suit, what will other people think? You see, so people are affected differently.
And I've ever seen people where say, I want to quit drugs. Then after he's given medication, then after like a week, the person goes back to drugs.
Yes. You see, that's the thing about these drugs. They are very strong. Let me give you a simple example. God gave us 4 biological functions that make us feel good. There is food, water, sex, and nurture. Nurture, like when you graduate or when you're wed. Out of these 4 biological functions, sex is the most powerful. It is what human beings enjoy the most. Now, some of these drugs are 2 to 10 times more powerful than sex. So you can imagine the effect. If people can kill for sex, people go and cheat because of craving sex. Now, what about things that are 2 to 10 times more powerful than sex? You see? So, basically, when somebody goes through rehab and they are detoxed, and they go through therapy, usually the therapy is to help to equip them with skills to be able to live without these drugs. It does not mean they are cured, because addiction is a chronic disease. And most people, because of the cunning nature of addiction, after they have been treated and what they think they can go back and use normally. You cannot use normally. Or they can say, the other time I was using weed, now let me just smoke. You can't just smoke because it affects the same part of the brain that the weed affected, and before you know it, the brain is asking for the original height that the weed used to give it. So inevitably you go back. You get it? So that is why at our treatment center, we don't stop at treatment. We follow the person up. We follow you up for a certain number of months till we are fairly certain that now you can move on your own. Then we set you free. But we also make you join our recovery family so that you keep relating with people who understand you, don't judge you. And there now, till that point when you feel confident you can stand on your own, then we'll let you go.
So how can someone be part of Recovery Uganda? How can someone get to where Recovery Uganda is located and know what Recovery Uganda does?
Simple. You can look us up on Facebook under Recovery Uganda. If I'm allowed, I can give out my phone number. Call me anytime. 0755 083 017 or 0773 001 684. Call me anytime. But my WhatsApp number would be easier for most to communicate. So 0755 083 017. Any of those numbers, feel free, call me anytime during the day, during the night. I'll pick up your phone and I'll gladly give you the help that you need.
Thank you so much, Albert. What would be your last words to our dear viewers, and what would be your last advice?
Please, people young and old alike, stay away from drugs. Addiction is the most depressing disease known to man. It's incurable and it makes your life hell on earth. At least cancer will kill you within a short time. But if addiction doesn't kill you through an overdose or accident or something, it will take the life out of you. You will be another statistic of a wasted life. Stay away from drugs.
Thank you so much, Albert. That has been Albert from Recovery Uganda. For us, we are here to give you information, and your work is to decide whether you take it or you leave it. But the most important thing, you should take the information and decide on what you're supposed to take. Leave drugs and don't use drugs, because we have seen very many people who come to our centers and they need information. So Recovery Uganda is here. We are going to also put Albert's contact, the contact that he has shared on our timeline, and you'll be copying it. You can easily reach out to him, and also go on Facebook, look for Recovery Uganda. They can easily get onto you. Then they give you a location where they are found for easy communication. Also knowing what you can easily do to quit drugs. Because I know very many of you are watching this show. You are good in taking drugs, but it's high time you leave it. Like you have heard from Albert, he left it, and also you can leave it and be an important person in future. Thank you so much. This has been his class. See you next time.